name is Dr. Richard Tran, Healthy Aging Doc, and you're checking out Healthy Aging Doc on the road. I'm actually here in beautiful British Columbia. It's a great day. You're actually seeing a view that's actually similar in the background here that we're actually seeing from the other side. And I have the privilege of actually being with a naturopathic physician. Now, Victor Chan, Dr. Victor Chan, and I have gotten to know each other over, probably the past three or so years. I've actually seen his kids grow, partially because he's married to my sister, or to my wife's sister. So, Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And what I want to do is, we have such interesting conversations whenever you and I tend to get together. And, me coming from more of a chiropractic point of view, but you coming from more naturopathy. I'd like you to kind of give the viewers a chance to know more about maybe your journey first, and maybe even giving us a little bit of background about what naturopathy is like, maybe even how it's a little bit different from other types of trades.
Yeah, well, I think like most people who enter into the profession at the time that I did, none of us actually grew up thinking that we would grow up one day to become a naturopathic physician.
Right.
For me personally, I actually didn't even know what it was until I was well into my 20s.
Really? Yeah.
So
you never heard of it before?
No, I never heard of it. I never really experienced it. But my journey actually, or my entrance or introduction into naturopathic medicine came from my previous life as a person who was working in the business world, and specifically in health insurance. And although I wasn't directly dealing with patients or clients, I would see trends of people who were submitting claims for treatments that were what we would call alternative types of treatments, whether it was acupuncture or chiropractic, once in a while naturopathic. And these treatments typically, from what we saw, they were actually quite cost effective. So
they actually costed less versus if you went into an MD, that type of thing?
For most of the treatments, and of course, really varies depending on the condition, but a large portion of conventional treatment was pharmaceutical, right, medication. And I think a lot of people, because in Canada, they don't feel what the real cost of it is, because many people have coverage for their medications, right? Actually, the real cost is much more, but as insurance, we would see what the real cost was.
Oh, really?
Versus what's the real cost of an acupuncture visit? Well, you're paying it. Or what's the real cost of a naturopathic doctor's visit? Yeah, you're paying it.
Right.
And but to make a long story short, if it's not on the list of what our approved treatments are, we don't cover it. Right? Despite how cost effective it may be. And so, for me, I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. There's something odd here. People are willing to actually pay out of pocket for certain treatments. Maybe it's because they work. Versus, wow, people keep submitting claims for the same kind of treatment for months or years. Is that really working for anybody?
Well, I know that you're in Canada and we're actually in the States, but it's such a mentality sometimes when you have coverage that you want to be able to use it. It makes a lot of sense. It's almost like you paid for it. And then at the same time, it's like, whether it's actually effective for you, some people kind of dismiss that because they're like, well, it's covered for me, so why don't I go ahead and do that, versus maybe try out something new.
Well,
So you went through the whole insurance. You had your first exposure with insurance. What kind of were there certain things that you learned about, with naturopathy over time in terms of how it was different?
Yeah, well, I think with naturopathic medicine, because there is a wide scope of practice and many different tools that you can use to stimulate the body to heal, you see many different styles of practice. So the initial style of practice that I envisioned myself having versus the style of practice that I have now is very different. I'm sure, even for your practice, you can see that your practice evolves based on many factors. A large, reason why I practice the way I practice is because of the mentors that I've had. Because of the patients that have crossed my path and really had life-changing kind of experiences with their treatment and been excited enough to share it with their friends and their family, because they see options, they see different ways to really be healthier. And I think that's really what your videos are about, is, hey, you know what? There's options.
So there are varying tools and subsets that a naturopathic physician has. And based on what the person's problem is, you pull out a certain tool. Right?
And I think there's sorry, Richard. I think, and this came very early on from one of my mentors, Dr. Tim Brown. He's practicing at Ocean Park in British Columbia here. And he said to me very early on, he said, Victor, what do you think naturopathic medicine is?
Right.
And, I was very early on in my practice, and I started listing off all the different kinds of treatments that we did. Nutrition, detoxification, acupuncture, herbal medicine. He said, stop. That's treatments. What is naturopathic medicine? And I really had to scratch my head. I was a bit flustered. And he said, you know what I think naturopathic medicine is? It's applied physiology.
Applied physiology.
Applied physiology. And I said, what do you mean, Dr. Brown? And he said, look, you have to stimulate the body's natural ability to heal. And if you're going to do that, no matter whether it's a simple problem or the most complicated health situation that you've ever seen, you need to approach it from nutritionally. Is the body missing anything? And then we address it through diet or supplementation or whatnot. Toxicity. Is there too much of something in the body that shouldn't be there? So is that, toxins, infections, allergies, parasites. And then structurally, is there something broken or torn or stretched or out of alignment? These are three of the major sort of categories of things as therapists we need to help address. And then the body's physiology can do what it's designed to do, which is heal. Right? But, and then of course there's a fourth very important aspect of healing, which is about the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect, which is, very critical, but it's a little bit outside of what we can do in a half-hour doctor visit. We still address it, but that's really the patient's homework. But if you at least are addressing those things, you can begin to stimulate the body's physiology to do what it's designed to do. In my practice, we really have to be holistic to achieve a good result. There's no way that, I can say, yep, we're going to do this injection and it's going to it's going to fix you, or we're going to give you this medication and it's going to really improve things. And if we keep sort of giving patients that sort of unrealistic expectation, I think patients will never get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Having them, and
yeah,
definitely
that thinking one tool
can solve everything.
Can solve it. Yeah, and that's the way that I think, we traditionally have viewed medicine. It's like, oh, what did you do for your pain? Oh, acupuncture is great.
Right.
Or, oh, the naturopathic doctor was great, or a chiropractic was great. For chronic pain, if that works, that's wonderful, but I don't see it. Even, like for me, I cannot treat chronic pain on my own.
Right. Right.
And I need patients to understand that.
Yeah, more of a team-based approach is important.
Team-based and the right tool at the right time.
So let's